Today I want to explain to you how you can use couching with raw edge applique. Hi, I'm Kim Jamison Hurst of Chatterbox Quilts, and today I'm working with the Janome CM17, and I want to show you how you can use couching on a fusible web applique or raw edge applique project. So I have done a previous video showing you the foot and how to set it up on a Janome machine. So if you look above or in the description below, you'll find a link to that video. And in today's video, I don't want to get into too much of that. I want to show you how you can use couching with a raw edge applique project. So first let's talk about the foot, just to make sure you know what I'm talking about when I'm referring to this foot. This is the Free Motion Couching Foot set. It looks like this. It has two different little feet that you can use, and the holes, the size of the holes are a little bit different, and that's because it depends on the thickness of yarn as to which part of the foot you're going to use, okay? And as I said, I've got a video that goes into more detail about that, so we're not going to go into too much detail in this particular one. But I've got this foot all ready to go on my machine. I also have my Blue Dot bobbin case in because you're really free motion quilting here when you're doing couching. And I also have the regular or zigzag needle plate in because we are going to be using a zigzag stitch when we do this couching. So I just want to put this foot on here. You just attach it like any other foot. I also have my purple needle, my Janome purple needle in because that's what I use for free motion quilting. And I've got my glasses because I need to have those on because I always say if I can't see, I can't sew, right? Now, here's my project. Okay, I'll pull it out here so you can see it better. So it is some hearts, okay? You can see they're purple. We're in between Valentine's Day and Easter here, so we're going with Easter colors with the Valentine's theme, all right? So what I like about the couching and what it's going to do for this project is that when I put these down, so I've got fusible interfacing or fusible web behind these hearts, and usually because there's a raw edge there, I need to finish that edge. So either with a blanket stitch or a close zigzag stitch or even a satin stitch. I usually have to do that to seal off, if you will, or finish those edges. Instead, I'm going to use couching to do that. So you can see I've already done a couple of them already. I've got some yarn on there that I have couched down. So when I do this, I don't need to do any other stitching to finish off the edge of these applique shapes. The couching is going to do it for me. And in addition to finishing off the edge, the couching also adds a nice tactile element. It gives a little bit of extra embellishment to this project rather than just having the stitches on it. Nothing wrong with using the stitches, I'm not saying that. It's just a different way to finish off these applique pieces. All right, so now that we've got the project that we're going to be working on, we need to have some yarn. So I've got this white yarn here. You can see it's just kind of regular yarn, nothing fancy about it, except there's a little bit of metallic in there. We always got to have a little bit of bling. And then I'm going to want to put it into my foot. And actually, I usually do it the opposite way. I don't usually put my foot on first. Sometimes I get ahead of myself. So let's just take that off quickly because the yarn is going to be threaded through the foot and through the back of it. And it's easier to do that when it's off. So there's a little bit of a gap there. So I'm just going to put it through there and I'm going to pop it into the foot here. There's a little hole at the front of the foot that the thread should just go into. There we go. I'm just going to pull out a little bit. All right, so now I can put it back on the machine. Make sure I don't get that caught when I do that. And tighten it up again. Of course, always using my screwdriver to get that foot on nice and snug. I don't want it falling off partway through our couching, do we? Okay, making sure that my yarn is going to feed in and out of there, no problem, it's not caught anywhere. And I've also got a bunch of excess that's hanging around back here too, because you never want that yarn to get taut and it's gonna cause some problems, right? So whether I'm going to be doing stitches on the edge of an applique shape, or in this case couching, I like to start in an area that's kind of straight. A little tough to do on these curvy hearts, but straight-ish anyway. I don't want to be starting in a corner. That's not a good idea. So we're going to just start here. And what I have done is I've gone into the free motion couching area. So on the machine, you would go into your home area. You would then go into the sewing applications area and you'll see that there's an area to the far right that has like a little foot icon, and that is for doing different types of techniques where you may have to buy an optional accessory. In this case, I go to Free Motion Couching because that's what we're doing, and I'm using Zigzag Stitch 1. So, and I would usually do this as a practice, but I'm just winging it today. Let's see how it goes. Make sure to slow your machine down a little bit, take your time, and adjust as needed. All right, so remember we're free motion quilting. That means you have to move the project along as you get going. So far we're looking okay. I'm catching the yarn, that's good. So I'm gonna go down to the point here. And then I'm going to just move my needle over to the other side here before I stop. There we go. And I'm going to just turn this so you can see that I've got that stitching going on there. There's my excess yarn. And I'm gonna make my way back up the other side of the heart. So I'm trying to make sure I catch the edge of the heart, that the yarn is lying along the edge of the heart. Okay, kind of half on and half on the heart, half on the background, if you will. Okay, so it looks like it's doing okay. We can keep going. Stop again here. All right, and this part I'm just going to trim off later, so I'm not too concerned about that. All right, so I've missed some of my heart here. Oh dear, what can I do? Well, I could stop and take it out if I wanted to, or I could just go back a bit and fill it in. And then go back again. All right, so I could do that. It's a little bit thicker, but in the grand scheme of things, I don't think you'll really notice it. All right, now I'm coming up to where I started. Just gonna grab some scissors because I want to get this out of the way here. All right, we're gonna finish this off. So I'll go over where I started just a little bit and just go back a bit. All right, so I can cut my threads, but not the yarn. So we're gonna have to trim that yarn off like that. All right, so not too bad. As I said, practicing is always a good idea. Before you get into here, just to check and make sure your tension's okay, to make sure that your stitch length is what you want. It doesn't really matter on this because you're free motion quilting, obviously, but you want to make sure that the tension's okay. All right, so that's not looking too bad. Let's try the bigger heart because, you know, bigger is better, right? So let's go back down here again. So I'm going to put my foot down, get my needle down. I don't know if you noticed the first time, but it's locking the stitches first before we get going, so I don't have to worry about the yarn coming off as we go along. And I've got to say, one of the things I like about this foot is the fact that it's clear, so I can see what's happening there. I can see where my needle is and what's going on. So that helps to keep that couching along the edge of the shape as well. Okay. My yarn up here, it's getting caught a little bit there. I don't want it to get caught. Okay, that's looking good. All right, so going along here, I missed a little bit. I could go over that again if I wanted to. There's a few other things you can do with this. Okay, I'm going along the edge. Yes, I want to do that. But let's assume I have already gone along the edge. As a matter of fact, I'll go back this way, okay? So let me just change this around so you can see this better. Make sure I've got enough yarn here. You can never have too much yarn pulled out, right? But you can make some little designs with this as well. So let's say I'd gone all the way around that particular heart. I could add some extra interest inside, let's say. Okay, something like this. You may want to actually put some reference lines on there to help you as you're going along. I'm just kind of freewheeling it here. All right, so you could do something like that. All right, something a little different. Okay, there's one other thing you can do when you're doing couching. Cut these off. You can see what that looks like. So there's something else you can do with couching, and it's not to do with raw edge applique, but you could actually create a whole shape just with the yarn, just with couching. Here, let's say you wanted to draw a heart. Well, as a matter of fact, why don't I draw a heart, okay? And let's say I drew a heart here, okay? Let's draw this little heart. And I've already quilted my quilted my background. It's a little tough to draw over stitches there, but there we go. So a little bit of a heart there, okay? So let's say you wanted to actually fill that in with the couching, okay? So you could start, let's start on a part that is straight-ish, right? Okay, and we're going to start again. Okay, and the first thing I would do is to outline the heart, okay? So you've got something to fill in, right? It's kind of hard to fill it in if you don't have a design already. It kind of gives you some borders, if you will, or boundaries. So we're going to go around here. Okay, very similar to what you've already done. All right. So there's my little heart shape, okay? And you don't have to be right on the drawing, okay? You don't have to worry about that. I'm just going to clip off this part if I can, get in there. Best I can. Now this time I'm not going over that stitching because I'm going to continue inside the heart, all right? So you can do different things here. You can actually completely fill it in if you want, or you could leave some gaps. So let's say you have some, maybe you had red fabric behind it and you want to leave some gaps so some of the red shows through. That is your choice. But let's just say I want to fill this in. So I'm going to start going in. There's different ways you can do this, but I could just echo that heart shape and fill it in. So let's try that. Okay, let's get more yarn out here. I'm just going to turn this to make it easier to see for me and maybe for you as well. I know white on white, not the best choice, right? But we'll go with it. And I would probably change this around because I've gone outside my heart. I can see here because I couldn't see where I was going. But anyway, so you get the idea that you're going along like that. So you could just keep doing that if you wanted to. Just keep echoing the heart in and in and in and in. Or you could do something different where you could just go back and forth, for example, like this. Go up and start from one side and just go across and just kind of weave your way back and forth. All right, I'll stop that so you can take a closer look at it. And I'll just cut the yarn off there. I know, white on white, but I think you get the idea. Now, it would be easier if I had a contrast because it'd be easy for me to see the thread. But as I said, you can either go inside and echo whatever shape you may have, or you could go back and forth. So that's just an extra thing that you can do with couching, in addition to finishing off the edges of your raw edge applique shapes. Thanks so much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up and remember to subscribe and hit the bell so you'll be notified the next time I release a new video. And for more helpful quilting information, be sure to go to my website at www.chatterboxquilts.com.